Okay, so we're just gonna start here in a couple minutes. If everyone could just turn on their cameras for attendance as well. We're just gonna wait a few minutes till we get started our expert talk. I'll start with my camera on as well. All right, we'll get started here. Okay. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of our expert talks, focusing on the culture and people in Canada. My name is Carla Malbug, and I'll be your host for tonight. Before we start tonight's event, I'd like to ask everyone to make sure that their mics are muted. There is also an option to turn on live captions, and if any questions come up during the talk, please type them in the chat box or save them for the Q&A portion at the end of our panel. Okay. I would also like to mention that today's panel is a brave space, as our speakers will be talking about their own experiences, right? So let's get into today's expert talks. So my name is Carla Malbug, and I work for the Expert Collective as a youth worker. For those who are new or do not know, the Expert Collective, or TEC, is a not-for-profit organization founded in 2020. We are a team of diverse professionals within the industry.
Okay, so my presentation for the love of youth. Would you mind to bring it up? Okay, so there's another presentation material that Adrian, please bring that up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so in the meantime, we're going to use the material that they have presented. Would you mind again to bring that up? While waiting for Adrian, we can have the other material, just what you have shown just now. So if you could please bring it up so we can have a little information about For the Love of Youth. So would you mind to bring it up again? Okay, so the For the Love of Youth is a project granted by the Government of Canada. We received the approval in March of this year, and we just had the negotiation of the amount being granted to the Expert Collective. So we're happy, we're pleased to announce to everybody that we get the 4 million funding from the government for this project. So this project focuses on helping youth be exposed to opportunities and experiences, and it enables youth to soar high and reach their goals. So we have a formal launching on August, or the program will start on August 2, 2022, and it will run up to March 31, 2023. But our fly open house or formal launching would be on August 19. So stay tuned. Keep following our social media accounts so that you will be updated with all the activities under the Fly project. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so moving on to tonight's topic, Canada's labor force continues to be in great position to welcome newcomers. With the current high job vacancy rate, there is a major demand for skilled workers to fill the available positions. Immigrants have helped immensely to build the workforce in Canada, taking up over 50% of Toronto's population. It has been estimated that 1 in 3 workers across the country will be born outside of Canada. Despite this very high vacancy rate, immigrants are still finding it difficult to apply for jobs that are willing to accept the educational and professional experience they've gained in their home countries. It can be troublesome to find yourself struggling to apply for jobs while also juggling language barriers and adjusting to new environments. This brings us to today's focus on finding a job as an immigrant in Canada. Our guest advice on adjusting to new workplaces and how to access the right resources. Okay, so today we have 4 guest speakers joining us. Our first guest speaker is Marjorie Newman, an immigration consultant and founder of MCN Canada Immigration Consulting Inc. For 10 years, she has practiced and assisted people from other cultures, uniting with their families and establishing themselves in Canada. She is actively involved in her community and in the Filipino associations of Edmonton, Alberta, and she enjoys her time contributing and serving the Filipino community through volunteerism and as a freelance journalist. She has consulted and processed a variety of applications from the economic stream, temporarily resident immigration categories, and most of all the family classes. Marjorie's goal is to share the experience she's acquired over the years to help new Canadians build their lives in Canada. She continues to grow and learn through each client she helps, and with each organization she becomes a part of. She will be only joining us for 45 minutes of our discussion due to an event she needs to attend afterwards. But for now, let's give a big welcome to Marjorie.
Thank you.
Okay. Our second guest speaker will be Joseph Soriano, an immigration consultant and founder of Soriano Immigration Consulting Inc. He has worked and partnered with trusted immigration consultants over the years before starting his own practice in January 2021. Being an immigrant himself, Joseph's goal is being a regulated Canadian immigration consultant to help clients realize their Canadian immigration aspirations. He provides advice in navigating the ever-changing immigration landscape in Canada. He offers clients with the most relevant and up-to-date information to help them make informed decisions and develop strategic pathways. Joseph is currently based in Calgary, Alberta. So thank you for coming, Joseph.
A pleasure to be here. Good evening, everyone.
Our third speaker is Lisa De Leon, an immigration consultant and the owner, operator, and CEO of her own immigration and employment firm, L3J Immigration Consulting Inc. She is committed to fulfilling her mission of delivering her services with values, quality, and prestige. She has wholeheartedly served and meaningfully impacted the lives of over 5,000 families, individuals, and businesses in their Canadian immigration, employment, and education. Her stakeholder portfolio includes businesses, entities, small, medium, and large sizes, looking for workers, RCIC colleagues needing co-counseling and mentoring, recruitment agencies placing jobs, families and individuals immigrating to Canada as workers, students, or visitors. Warm welcome to Ms. Lisa. Right, and our last guest speaker is Marianne Yvonne Rosal, a mechanical engineer in training in the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and refrigeration industry. Born and raised in the Philippines before arriving in Canada as 11 years old, she now holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering degree from the University of Alberta. She's actively involved with the Filipino community in Edmonton, Alberta, where she hosts and organizes many events for organizations such as the Philippine Business Society of Alberta. This event will be following a panel discussion format where each of you is open and able to answer each question. Okay? So starting with our first question, after immigrating to Canada, what would you recommend as the first step that people should do when seeking a job? This is open to all speakers.
Is it according to age, or seniority, or should we start with Marianne?
March, it's according to beauty, so you should start.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi po, maayong gabi sa tanan. So, I believe that looking for work is a full-time job. And just like a job, your performance will improve if you keep your work organized. So you got to be organized. You need to keep track of all the details in your job search. This includes who you've talked to, where you've applied, where you apply next. And then being organized will also help you feel confident and professional. And you have all the information you need at your fingertips. And of course, aside from preparing an effective resume, effective cover letter, references handy if requested, don't forget your social insurance number, you need to know your skills and your preferences. List the skills and accomplishments. What can you offer to the employer? And then you figure out what kind of work you prefer. You must have a master list, that includes like information, employer information. Make sure you have the correct spelling, and the position that you're trying to apply. The job description, bring a copy of your own resume when during the interview, a list of the marketing tools, with the technology, all information is available, everything on the internet. List of what you have sent in terms of documentation, important dates, maybe like application deadlines, the dates of your interview, your follow-up tasks, messages to employers, and so on and so forth. So it's also like you consider it a job, when you're looking for work. So to summarize, being organized and be very prepared.
Thank you for a great answer, Marjorie.
Okay. I just go for it.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can go ahead, Maureen.
Oh, thank you. No, I just wanted to echo what Marjorie said. So one of the first steps would be figuring out your field. So if you're coming new to Canada, exactly what field are you rooting for? And then following that, you kind of want to define the problem. So once you've realized what your field is, have an organized list of what you need to do in order to get your job. So I just wanted to add too, it's very easy when you're trying to source out a job to mass apply. One of the things that I found very useful is to tailor your resume and your cover letter specifically for your field, so specific keywords, but also specifically the job description. So an easy way to do that is to find keywords within the job description and to tailor your resume and your cover letter specifically for that too. So just to add to what Marjorie was saying.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. So just to add to this question, first of all, if you are a new immigrant, congratulations for being here. And we always think of immigrating here as being here in Canada is actually a privilege. It's such a great opportunity to be here. So if you're looking for a job, it's a very happy problem for you. And we'd like to help out, make that journey easier. So I think what I would like to share first is if you're a recent immigrant, you would notice that before immigrating here, you would have received something like a pre-arrival invitation. So it's from immigration. So that letter contains a link to IRCC's website where you can find search for nearby settlement services wherever you are immigrating to or where you immigrated at. So I believe Anna will be posting that link. Whenever you have the time, feel free to visit that website. Regardless if you have family, friends, or even if you know or already have an existing network here in Canada who can help you with finding a job, I still encourage you to still avail of those free pre-arrival services from those settlement providers. They would help you. They will provide you like a structured guide to what resources to look into, what to study, any language training that you might attend. A very helpful guide in terms of like updating or changing the format of your resume that relates more to Canadian employers, and stuff like that. So make sure you get into that. It's free. You paid for it when you apply for PR here. So make the most out of it. So that's my first advice. Second advice, if you have any friends, family here, get in touch with them right away. Ask the question, what would your advice be? Do you know anyone who is offering a job? Right away, you get instant network or connections that would help you to get a job in Canada. I just maybe want to add to what Marian mentioned about the resume. Very helpful that for every employer or position you're applying to, make sure that what you retain in in your resume or cover letter are those experiences and skill sets that are relevant to the position you're applying for. And secondly, I would also my recommendation as well, if you were already working back home, focus more on, other than the duties and responsibilities, also focus more on the milestones, the achievements or the contributions you have made during the time during your work experience, because those things are what may set you apart from other applicants. Because if, for example, they're hiring for an accountant, most of the duties and responsibilities are pretty standardized, right? But if you can put in some milestone or specific achievements in there, you might stand out from those other applicants who might be just putting same duties and responsibilities for that particular position. And lastly, I'm not sure with my time. Once you get here, don't just be too caught up in applying for a job. Also remember to expand your network, engage in the community, volunteer. It's okay to volunteer for free, because you gain more by gaining some network, learning some skills along the way, and you get a feel of how it is to work, or how is it to assimilate in the Canadian workplace, which would be very helpful in the job application process. That's all. Okay.
Thank you. Did Miss Lisa have anything to add to that?
So I'm a backup dancer, so I'll just talk in the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our next question. All right. So, what resources are available for those struggling to find jobs as an immigrant? Where can they look for jobs?
Okay, I'll start. So use, as mentioned earlier, use your network, your community, and then you search online. So I'm not sure if you're familiar. I'm sure if you're already in Canada, you're familiar with the job bank. I'll just focus more on Alberta because we're in Alberta. Check Alberta job postings, other job search engines, research employers, use industry and professional or trade association websites. Look for job leads and job postings, maybe newsletters or magazines. Contact employers directly. Attend career or job fairs. Attend workshops and other events that bring employers and employees together. Watch for the help wanted or even now hiring signs when you walk or drive in your area. Follow news media, look for ads in classified and career sections of local, national, or even international news organizations. And you can also work with placement agencies. Register with a private employment agency or recruitment firm. But keep in mind that they might charge fees for some services. Check the Government of Alberta's Employment and Training Service Directory to find a program or service that can help you find a job. If you're in Calgary, you can also check the Calgary Employment Services Directory. For those who are in Edmonton, you can go to the Edmonton Employment Services Directory. Then choose the right work strategies. Employers promote their job openings in different ways. You need to figure out how and where your target employers, and then let people know that they're hiring, and then adapt your strategy to suit. For example, a journey person looking for work in the oil and gas industry might rely heavily on personal and professional networks. So I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Did any of the other? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Do you have something to add? Sorry, Joseph, or?
Oh, was it me? Okay. Okay, I can go next. Resources. I could probably just revert back to those list of settlement services as well. So most of them are, like I said, free. They would connect you to different employers, because some employers also go to settlement services organizations to find new immigrants who they can hire. You can also check out your local post-secondary institutions. they also have, so they don't just recruit students. They normally also have a section that's dedicated to assist new immigrants, and other underrepresented groups like Aboriginals. That's part of their services there. So check out your local colleges and universities for any possible openings. Also, those who are providing language trainings, other than language training, they also are well connected with employers who are looking for newcomers as well.
Thank you. Did Marianne or Ms. Neeson have anything else to add, or?
Yeah, sure. I can interject. So I'm probably one of the more younger, and I don't mean that as an offense. I mean that as in I've just recently gone into full-time work. So from that field, actually, what I found was, so I just graduated in 2019, and I went into the workforce and found a job just before I graduated, actually, thankfully, and before the recession COVID hit. But what I actually found that was interesting is that while there were a lot of resources, job banks, career fairs, both in school and out of school, um, both of the both of the positions that I've held today, I've actually gone through networking specifically. So I just wanted, it's not something that we talk about often, but building your network is really important. Like Marjorie was saying earlier, employers market or advertise their positions in very different ways. I find now a way to stand out is actually to find people who are able to advocate for your skills, especially if you're coming from fresh graduate or if you have minimal experience. It really puts your application further in a mass or a sea of applicants when you're able to connect with someone who can speak to your skills and abilities. So just speaking in, I guess, the engineering field, for instance, if you have a professional license coming from an international education or otherwise, I would suggest maybe getting involved with professional associations. So if you're, for instance, an engineer for coming from the Philippines, even if you don't have the professional engineering designation in Canada, you're still open to resources to APEGA. So APEGA will have workshops that will connect you to more resources to get accreditation for your education. They'll actually help you with resume building. And then another thing that most people might not know is they actually connect you to mentors. And that doesn't mean that you have to have a PNG in Alberta. You can get mentorship through APEGA for free. And so I found that really useful for me personally because it helped me connect to different jobs, connect to different professionals, and just being able to share and learn from experiences, kind of like what we are doing now with how people are struggling, looking for jobs and such, and upgrading skills. So that's the first thing, professional organizations. There's other professional organizations. I'm also part of ASHRAE, so that's American Society of Heating, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning engineers, and they're also able to help you out with resume building, networking skills. And then through these organizations and events, I was actually able to take people out for coffee and gain their insights. And actually, that's how I built up my network slowly to get my resumes out. So when I was looking for jobs, I did cold calls, cold emails, I sent out my resumes, and this was during COVID. But it was through that connection and building that connection that I actually got a job. So yeah, reach out to anyone. It doesn't have to be professional designation. It could be speaking in the Filipino sphere, like you could be your titas and titos. I've gotten jobs like that too. So anyone that is a network to another job opportunity. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for your great insight. Did Ms. Lisa have anything else to add, or any other speaker?
Yeah, I'll speak towards the end to add some more information on top of the speakers' inputs. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for the amazing resources, guys. We'll move on to our next question then, our third question here. Okay. Are there any difficulties that come with interacting with those with the mentioned resources above, such as language barriers or certain requirements?
Okay. Um, so when you come to enter a country like a foreign country on your own, or maybe you're coming to Alberta on your own, or with your family, and then it means learning many new things. Uh, you'll be adapting to a new culture and then new ways of doing things, and then looking for a job to support you and your family. So workplace in Alberta totally different from the Philippines where we came from. And even if you're a skilled worker or if you're a professional, as mentioned by Marianne earlier, you might need more training, and then you lack Canadian experience, foreign credential evaluation, certification. Maybe you need a red seal to practice, or you might have to improve in your English language skills or language challenges. And there's also this inclusive work environment, right? Like racism and discrimination related to race and credentialism. So I'll share an example about that Canadian experience. So I arrived in Canada, and then 3 days after, so I start sending out my resumes, and then within the week, I have few interviews, and then all of them, ask me the same question, one common question: Canadian experience. So I said, like, I just arrived like 3 days or 4 days ago or 5 days ago. How can I obtain that Canadian experience, right? And then so after, I think, on the seventh or eighth interview, this was in 2006. So I told the lawyer, okay, I'm gonna ask for. I mean, I have to figure out something because everybody's just asking for the Canadian experience. And so I said, I don't have the Canadian experience yet, but if you are going to give me the chance, right, this would be my opportunity to obtain a Canadian experience. So I made a deal with the lawyer because my first job in Canada was to work for a law firm. I work with 4 lawyers. And then so I told them, if you're going to just 2 weeks, just try me for 2 weeks, give me the chance, 2 weeks, and then let's see what happens. And then in that way, I can obtain, that's how I can obtain Canadian experience. So just sharing that. And identify first the barrier that you face in finding work. So wherever you're in Canada, there is always help and support services for newcomers or new immigrants, as mentioned by Joseph earlier. So for example, if you need to improve your English skills, there are several immigrant serving communities who are offering free English lessons. If you need foreign credential evaluation, if you're in Alberta, then you can contact IQUAS for assessment of your credential. There's also like short specific courses that address to eliminate barriers to job searching and employment through Alberta Career. I don't know if you've heard of that. Alberta Career and Employment Information Services to help Albertans, explore their career, employment, and then training options available to them. So the same office, the Alberta Career and Employment Information Services, here, number one, they provide workshops, group designs, even for individuals. They conduct employability and career counseling, either as an individual or as a group, that emphasizes self-awareness and understanding. And they provide guided assistance and referrals to help individuals clarify their career goals. They also assist you in, making career decisions and in developing a life work direction, that you really want. And then they also provide assessments to help you gather information, identify issues, and provide you access to information, tools, and technical equipment. And you might want to check as well Ali's website, ALIS. That website has tons of resources for immigrants, where to look for work. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Did Joseph or Marianne want to add to that? Nope.
I guess I would acknowledge that among the others that the difficulties that were mentioned and were covered by Miss Marjorie, I guess what the more important question is how, regardless of how many or how much difficulties there are inherent into finding work. As an immigrant, I think what's more important is to be very resilient and be patient and to manage your expectations. I think that's what's more important because the difficulties would always be there. And you would always find a way to overcome it, whether through the resources we shared. Actually, in my honest opinion, so many resources and ways, but I think more likely in the end, just from my experience and like what Marian had mentioned, so far it's networking that has been the successful way of getting a job as an immigrant here. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that you'll get the right network right instantly. Maybe you'll get it a year from now, 2 years from now. Maybe you have to settle for a job that is not ideal. But as an immigrant, you have to accept the fact that we are new in the country. It will take time to learn and really navigate through the difficulties. My best advice is to be resilient and be patient. And in time, you will find the job that you want, but you have to not accept the fact that these are the difficulties to deal with and there are ways to go over it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to jump in. So I think Marjorie and Joseph had really good, great answers. And I just wanted to jump in with what Joseph was saying. That's really important, the resilience. Because I think one of the first steps to even access resources, coming to Canada, you have to really do the groundwork to uncover some of the resources. They're not easily found. And so resilience is really good. I also found that from my personal experience, it was a lot of swallowing your pride and asking for help. And that's kind of more on the personal side, but really reaching out and asking, that you're open to opportunities, for one, requires a bit of humility, and open to gaining, like asking people how to get jobs and where to find resources and leaning into networks. I think that would be another barrier because when you're coming into Canada, you don't know where to access these resources, right? So yeah, that's the two that I would add. First, how do you find those resources? You have to do the groundwork, do the Google searches, and also ask around personally in your network. And maybe one conversation or one research will lead you to further research that will lead you to better resources. So yeah.
All right. Wow. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add a final remark or?
No, I just wanted to share what I did because Google wasn't that popular when I immigrated to Canada. So as soon as I applied for my social insurance number, right? So right there at Service Canada, I saw the fax machine. So I asked the lady there, can I use the fax machine? And then I just started sending my resume through fax. And then they had newspapers there, and then like, I don't know if this is, I'm supposed to say that.
I think it's called Yellow Pages, right? In your time?
I have the Yellow
What are Yellow Pages?
Yeah. Okay, I just send it. It's free, right? But that's all I have. I didn't have any computer. I didn't have any laptop. So I only have two choices. Service Canada, and then the lady was looking at me like, she's been here for like 2 hours. It's free, libre. I have to take advantage of the free resources. And then when eventually the lady said, oh, right, you have to really go now, I went to the library, Edmonton Public Library, because the use of the fax machine at the time was also free. And then you can print, also free. So that's what I did. Anyways.
I'm going to share my piece here to this question. So the question is, what are the difficulties that come with interacting with the mentioned resources? So I'll be speaking from the applicant's perspective and from the employer's perspective. So what are the difficulties? So when I came in 2000 and got my license in 2002 as a registered social worker, I applied for jobs, but again, going back to my Marjorie's sharing that no one would accept us, it's because we don't have the Canadian experience. And I was really wondering what Canadian experience is all about. So, and we were really wondering how could we get the Canadian experience, because nobody was telling us how to get the Canadian experience. We thought the Canadian experience is maybe working at Tim Hortons, working at the retail industry, but that's not what they meant by Canadian experience. So the Canadian experience is actually having the experience related to your career or related to your profession. So the difficulties, so before when I came in 2000, there was only Job Bank as a source, Monster, and Workopolis. We don't have Google, we don't have Kijiji, we don't have Indeed. All of those didn't exist yet at the time. So what we do is we work in the factory. And again, going back to Marianne's sharing, networking is very important. That's when the first time Joel got his job as an IT through the referral from someone in the church. So if you are not religious in the Philippines, you will become religious in Canada. You are going to go to the church. It's because that's where you're going to find a job. So that was the difficulty when we came. But even then, with all those experiences, it took us a while before we really get engaged into getting our profession. So I just want to plug in why we made tech. But before that, from the employer's perspective, when we talk about difficulties, and they said volunteering is number one key, yes. But are there employers willing to take up volunteer placements? So from the employer's perspective, in the beginning, do I have the resource? Do I have the resources to give a computer just solely for this person, to give this person the volunteer experience, right? So it's hard to balance. Now that I understood, coming from an immigrant, looking for a job, and an employer myself, it's before I couldn't understand why employers are treating applicants that way. But when I started to become an employer, I got the understanding of why. It's because time-wise, you need to invest time to teach the people. Second, you need to invest resources, computer, and whatever that is needed for the employment, for the volunteer placements. So when you get students from the schools, they don't provide you with these resources too, right? They just place people, they just bring the students to your place, but don't even have any contribution of what they can do to make the placement successful. So those are the barriers. Those are the difficulties. And why we created or developed the Expert Collective. It's to give the opportunity to the new immigrants, to the newcomers. Newcomers includes refugees, whoever, like students who've just graduated applying for PR, the new graduates, to give all this underrepresented group. We call this, from the ESDC perspective, they are called underrepresented group, the Aboriginal people. So it's to give everyone the opportunity, not everyone, because we may not be able to cater everybody, but at least with the government funding, we can provide as much resources as we can. So now being an employer, I am not just going to be limited with the resources being a private company, but my resources will be based on what the government is going to give us. And that's the reason why we created the Expert Collective, because whatever the new immigrant has experienced in terms of looking for work could be the same for all new students that have graduated. They couldn't get the job. It's because they don't have the Canadian work experience, even if they are born Canadian, right? And graduate in Canada, it's because they don't have the work experience. So the Expert Collective, for the Love of Youth project, is going to give you the opportunity to earn or to gain that meaningful experience so that you can become competitive in the labor market. And that's what the Expert Collective's mission. And that's why we're here. Thank you.
All right, that was great. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your advice. We're going to move on to the fourth question here. Okay. So for those immigrants who have recently graduated, what advice would you give them as they search for jobs in their field of studies?
Can I suggest for Marian to take this question first?
Fresh.
You're all, yeah, you both were newly graduated too, maybe a few years ago ahead of me. No, I'm kidding. So what advice would I give to recently graduate immigrants? I guess I'd clarify first. If you're recently graduated, are you graduating from an international school or are you graduated from a Canadian accredited school? So speaking in terms of like my field in engineering, I guess the first step would be, so if you are graduated from an international school, the first step would be to get your credentials assessed, whether through WES or through an equivalent, in order to gauge if you need qualifying courses or upgrading of courses. That would be my first step. And if you need any other, so for engineering, for instance, if you're applying into engineering, you might have to take competency tests, a bit more than somebody who's been through a Canadian graduated school. So that would be my first step. And then I just wanted to echo, just because I've seen this, I think for the majority of my friends and my peers, to expand your network. So like many people have mentioned, it doesn't have to be just professional organizations, although I advocate for that. Anyone in your network, from your family to people at church, to just cast a wide net and to make it really aware that you're open to opportunities. That would be great. If you're able to find mentors in your field, I know that's not very common, but that's what I did actually. I looked up to people who were in engineering a few years down the road from where I was. I took them out for coffee, very unorthodox, but I just wanted to see what their opinions were. And they gave me a lot of advice. Not all of those coffee calls or coffee chats led to a job, but they led to me clarifying what skills I need to build up in order to get a job or in order to advance from one position to the next. So I found those really useful. And keep in touch with your peers. You're just newly graduated. If you know 5 people, those 5 people can connect you to at least 5 or more networks. So maybe they won't be able to help you now, but they'll certainly be able to help you down the road if you're looking for transitioning to different jobs or transitioning to different opportunities. And always be on the lookout. I think when you're first graduated, you're kind of, just looking at all the jobs, or maybe the situation is there because we're just coming out of COVID. But honestly, just to echo what Joseph and a lot of immigrant experience, resilience is key. There are always resources available here in Canada. You just need to get to the groundwork and put a little bit of elbow grease and find out where those resources are, because they do exist. So I'm sure that doesn't capture all of the advice, but that's a good starting point, I think.
Perfect. Thank you. Did any of the other speakers want to add to that, or?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe when you were in school, you probably have a specific occupation in mind. So your studies may have reinforced your interest in your career goals, but through them you might also have discovered like new career options or new ways to apply your training, right? So, or maybe perhaps things may have changed in your life, and then the labor market also is changing, that make you reconsider your goals. So what I'm saying is revisit your career plan. And if you haven't started a career plan, you can go to Career Insights. This online career planning tool will help you align your life and work with your skills, interests, and your dreams. So other ways of exploring your career plan include revisiting occupations on, I think I mentioned earlier, ALIS, ALIS. And there's also other sites where you can review your options and consider how broader trends in the workplace might affect your chosen line of work. You might also look for the job postings in your field, explore Alberta's latest wage and salary data, and look at earnings for your post-secondary field of study. Now, this will give you a sense of what employers might offer once you're done school, and if you're employable in your field, and recognize that someone without a lot of work experience, your initial earnings will likely be at the lower end of those ranges. As mentioned by Joseph and Marianne, patience is a virtue, right? Next is you need to update your work search tools. You have student job banks, college career centers been mentioned earlier. You should also be looking at major employers in your industry and other job banks that will help you find jobs that move you closer to your career goals. You might want to do like, build your resume, your cover letter and references. Um, if you have work-oriented social media profile, because now social media also is on the trend, you can also use that. They're of advantage. And prepare for success at your job interviews. Bring a positive attitude. I know must have been tough looking for work, but still, when you present yourself during the interview, bring a positive attitude. Present yourself as a well-groomed professional and show that you have researched the company and the job opportunity. Fake it till you make it. Then learn about the labor market. So use the labor market information to boost your career, and then you might want to build your experience, because you're just finishing school or have finished school. You might not have the work experience employers in your field are looking for. So as part of your plan to enter the workforce, you may need to find ways to offset your initial lack of experience. You don't always need direct job experience to show employers you have many of those skills that they're looking for, but think about the core, the transferable skills you gained during your classes, your volunteer work, your mentorship, or during a co-op program, or even during your internship. Okay, so I think that's all I have.
Right, I just wanted to add before I lose my thought, specifically to newly graduated students. So I think a lot of us will feel that because we don't have a lot of experience, we have less value. What I learned actually, and just something that I wanted to emphasize is for new grads, even though you don't have a lot of experience under your belt, don't sell yourself short, because you're actually very valuable to a company. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, you're young, so you're eager to learn. And so you're kind of like a sponge, and you're just eager to learn whatever project that they're giving you. Second is that, yes, you might not have a lot of experience, but like Marjorie was saying, you have a lot of transferable experience. So one thing in my personal experience is that when I was looking for jobs in engineering, I leveraged a lot of communication skills. So I had the opportunity to volunteer in a lot of nonprofit organizations, especially within the Filipino community. That doesn't seem to be very transferable in engineering. But in terms of how I marketed myself, in terms of communication skills and being able to communicate to different people of diverse backgrounds, that was actually very important for me as well. And that helped me with my job and getting a job. So don't sell yourself short in different skills in your life, just with experience. And specifically, I guess, for more technical jobs or positions, you might be lacking in experience, but you're coming with a lot of academic experience. So you have, I guess, in my field, there's an optimal balance between your engineering fundamental knowledge and your experience. So I'm lacking in experience, but I can give you a lot of my engineering academic experience, my fundamentals, my principles, that will pair well or complement with people who have a lot more experience. Like those two can go side by side. So yeah, don't sell yourself short. You're young, but that's actually a good thing in any company. You're providing value because you're bringing in opinions and solutions that people who have been in the industry for years down the road might not be able to see. So, don't forget that as well. Thank you.
I think I'll just add maybe two practical advice or strategies, because to be honest, this question is it can look differently depending on the person. It could be a recently graduated young immigrant, maybe, or it could be like a recently graduate mature immigrant who just studied again, or who already studied back in the home country. So, in my opinion, it's gonna be different depending on your situation. But maybe just citing some examples, like I might look like someone who graduated very recent, but it's been actually at least 14 years since my batch. But if you're a young person, all this information might, if I were in a young person's shoe, all these resources, information may appear very overwhelming because um, hopefully the target position that you wanted to or offer you want to get would be at par with whatever the average offering, or like hopefully this position is like from a very known company, easily accessible by train. So many criteria that you wish you could get. But to be honest, if you're young, don't get stuck in that analysis by paralysis mentality. If whatever options you got in the certain timeline that you've given yourself, choose, go work at it, learn from it, evaluate. You want to stay, you stay. You don't, you then you think about it. Don't also what do you call this? Limit yourself because you just because you recently graduated or completed a certain program. If you think, depending on the timing and the opportunity at the time you're looking for a job, don't be afraid to ask the question whether do I still focus on finding a job in this field that I completed, or should I consider upgrading to a better designation, or maybe even explore a different field? Still ask that question even during the process. But regardless, short term, if you got the options, give yourself like 1 month, 2 months, because right now, if for example you are looking for a job during this time, unemployment rate is really low. I hope that if you're applying now, you're getting lots of offers, and maybe you're overthinking which one to take. Just pick for now and then move on. But depends on the time. And maybe also another advice for a different kind of question, I would rephrase that. What I would, even if you are graduating, you haven't graduated yet, I also give this advice to my clients who are international students. I think it would apply also to those who are immigrant students already. The job search doesn't start when you graduate. You start for it or prepare for it even before. You start your networking, you volunteer, you work part-time already before you graduate. You get in position ahead of everyone else. Maybe you don't get the job right away, but at least maybe you start doing your network, or you're aware or conscious that you have to do this early rather than waiting for you to graduate, right? It gives you the edge. So if you don't have that, get the network, and if you have that advanced knowledge already to go through all the resources that we mentioned now, even though you haven't graduated yet, that's very important in my opinion. So I hope that helps. Thanks.
That was most definitely helpful. Thank you. Considering I'm also going to graduate soon, so that was definitely helpful for me.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, well, we have one last question here before we move on to our Q&A section, right? So, in your professional opinions, do you believe that the process of looking for a job is more difficult as an immigrant with lots of experience compared to a recently graduated Canadian who has been living here all their life? Whoever would like to go first.
Different. You're a person.
So maybe Marian can go first.
That's a good question. And I guess I just wanted to clarify. I don't know if I'm exactly qualified to do this because I haven't done the process myself, but I'll lean on to, I guess, the people that I've met. In one hand, so the question is it more difficult for equivalent amount of experience, but someone is an immigrant and had the exact number of experience or the same equivalent experience as someone who is a PR or a citizen here? Well, first of all, I guess my question is, um, yes, there might be in terms of, well, if you're an immigrant, you obviously have to adapt or to learn how job seeking and working in a different culture and a different country might look like. So right off the bat, there's that struggle. But in terms of equivalent experience and work, if you have the same skill set and you can show to your employers or you can display that you're able to deliver the same work, then I've seen it. I've seen people advance. But yes, coming into the different culture and adapting to that style is a struggle. If there are any language barriers, that obviously is a struggle as well. But I don't think I'm not qualified to say if it's a hindrance overall. There might be like in the initial stages, that might be something that you would need to work on. But I don't think it's a deterrent. But again, like I don't think I'm qualified to answer it just because I haven't gone through the process. So I'd be open to what everybody else's opinions would be too.
I like this question. My story is different, to be honest. But so most of the things that I would share with this question would be based on close people or even some clients I've had, mostly with my time with L3J and a few of my clients also, for those who were working or who became an immigrant. Of course, the process will be more difficult for an immigrant because the immigrant himself is dealing with more than just finding a job. There are a lot more things that an immigrant considers, such as settling in the new country, not coming in with all the important information right off the bat, and also prioritizing between making sure that they're able to meet their needs in terms of how they're settling in. If they have kids, they have to prioritize also the needs of their children. Maybe finding that ideal job would be in the bottom of the priority over finding something that would, for now, address the immediate, priorities of settling in Canada. It's definitely a more difficult process, in my opinion. But like I said, if we just accept that these difficulties, unless I'm saying that it's really difficult, but it doesn't mean that it's a roadblock for an immigrant to be successful. It just means that it will take several steps and stages for an immigrant to look for a job compared to someone who's already here. Or maybe not, because I mean, with someone here could also be dealing with the same problem. But in general, that's what I normally observe. But I would also say that as immigrants, what sets us apart is we are very motivated to succeed because we've already put everything in to succeeding in Canada because we have already left the home country. So although there is a difficult process ahead, and an advantage for an immigrant is that drive to succeed because we have to. So that really helps overcoming this difficulties, in my opinion.
If I may, Carla?
Yep.
So I'll be speaking from the employer's perspective, and I'll be biased here. So when I hire people, I'm going to look for more experience than the Canadian education. Because one, with the experience, they have already developed work habits, work ethics that are very important or that are key to a successful employment. But trying out the youth workforce, since I started employing youth last year, I have also discovered a lot of potentials from the students, from the youth. So at this time, I'm balanced. I'm both. So I will be considering people who have the experience, and I would also be considering the youth who is demonstrating willingness to learn, who is showing their um, uh, somehow developing work ethics. In the beginning, it's a struggle. It's because from among the youth, which has always been the sharing from our employer clients, that when they hire youth, they come and go. There is no like really like the intention of staying long, and that's the reason there are problems with there's labor market shortages, right? It's because of the retention problem. But if you're successful to find like really new graduates who are committed to like learning and doing work, you could also find good people in there. So yeah, I'm speaking from that perspective.
All right, that was great. Well, thank you. Thank you all for sharing your wise words and advice. We really do appreciate you all for taking the time to share your experiences with the journey of job seeking as an immigrant in Canada.
Sorry, Carla, if you
Yes.
may. I wanna wrap up the I know we're towards the end now and it's already 7:02. I wanna wrap up this expert talk episode tonight with a presentation. If you could please bring that up now, Adrian, if you're ready with that, please. So we're talking about employment, how we can gain employment, how we can engage into the labor market. So this is what we have right now for the Love of Youth, and this is our ongoing initiatives. So again, in the beginning, I've mentioned that we were granted by the government 4 million funding to implement this project. The government somehow has listened to us, has listened our project proposal, that there is a need to really look out for the best interest of the youth as well. So like I've said in the beginning, I was more leaning to hiring people with experience, but eventually that perspective has changed when I tried the youth sector last year and get some success in there. So for the Lab of Youth, right now, we already have run our programs and we are continuing to do the expert talks. We will be doing the fly open house and we're in the planning stage right now, but we already have like the set date. So we're going to be holding our fly open house on the August 19th. So everyone is invited to join this event, and we will be holding a fly bottle drive. Again, we have 55 people that are engaged right now. They're paid by the government under the Canada Summer Job Program. And they're going to be helping us with our fundraising initiatives so that we can continue doing what we're doing right now. So with the fly promotions, we have accomplished this thing. We are active in the social media. And please, for everyone who's here, please follow us. Please always look out for the events, upcoming events. We're going to be continuing the expert talks every month. There will be youth who will be speaking. I think the next topic we're going to be doing is the post CSJ placement. So we talk about employment. So this is maybe the good information for you to learn. For the people that are here, the 55 people that are employed, this is a good avenue. We talk about networking. So maybe the people that are employed could share to their peers of what the youth employment is, so that the next year around we can engage more people to be working and learning. So expert talks, we started it since 2022, and this is what we have right now. And we talk about the immigration pathways, youth mental health, Canada Summer Jobs Program, culture and people, and today's topic. Next slide, please. So again, we have the bottle drive. We will be holding, so we've changed the date because the funding will come in August. So we move it to August, I believe on August 6 to 19, we will be holding our bottle drive. For our open house, again, we have that set date, the third week of August. I believe it's August 19, but we're still finalizing the details, the logistics of the event. So next slide, please. So our fly promos, so all of the youth that are working right now will be going to the restaurants or house to house to do the bottle drive, and they will be leaving some like this brochures to the houses so that they know and we can promote more or market the expert collective. Next, please. So HR, I am very proud of our HR team and accounting team. They're really working very hard to come up or develop HR policy. So they're preparing job offer template and onboarding packages. So for those who are here, and if you have friends, you can invite them when we're going to hold the resume building, just like what Marian has said. So we're going to hold all those events. We're going to have events for employers as well to understand what youth employment is. Okay, next. So next, please. So youth team, I am very proud of the youth team. I believe they're here. They're one of these 29, 30 people, participants. They're working doubly hard and planning what they will be doing when we start implementing the peer counseling services or peer support services and peer tutoring. So yeah, so we're going to be holding workshops like, again, resume building, art as form of individual expression. We have performing arts, filmmaking, photography session, dance workshop, all these things that have been planned by the youth right now. And I'm very pleased, I'm very proud of their success so far. Next slide, please. So they are also developing the youth worker guidelines on how they can be an effective youth employee or youth worker. Again, we've mentioned about hurdles, we've mentioned about difficulties, but that's how we learn, right? That's how we learn, and we can improve for the next project. So next, please. So right now we've mentioned about employment and how people can find available positions or work. So these are the available positions we have. We will be posting, or I think some have been posted on Job Bank already and some other sources. So you mentioned about job boards where we can find employment. So we have like, job board for newcomers, job board for youth, job board for aboriginals. We have all these job boards as well, like I've mentioned two. I only knew 3 job boards before, just Job Bank, Monster, and our Workabilis, which is like really, when you look at the positions, there are a lot of positions available, but honestly speaking, they're already filled by the people that they have identified. It's just there for people to know that there's like opening, but the reality is that it's already been filled. So, but for us, we have this many positions available. We have permanent positions and the non-permanent positions, and also positions for the youth. So I understand, I've been learning from the youth day by day. Every time we have a team meeting, I gain learnings from them. It's not just youth that are learning from us, from the adults. We learn from them too, from their experiences, from the stories. So we adjust every now and then on what suits or what is the best employment for youth. So move on, please. So these are our part-time workers, which will be filled by the youth, and we have contractors. And I want to bring that up. This is like our contractors are our business affiliates. You mentioned about networking, and that's the reason why we also have business affiliates in our directory. We reach out to companies so that these companies will be helping us accept youth, so youth placement. So we want to bring up more companies to be affiliated with the Expert Collective, and somehow, like I've said, from the employer's perspective, there's limitations when you say or accept volunteers. It's because it entails resources as well. But at this time, because the government heard us, the government heard the need of the businesses and also heard the needs of the youth. Now they believe in us. They gave the trust and confidence in us to just implement our Fly project. So that now that we have the funding from the government, we will not bear all the expenses to the employers when we place people, to just give the experience, right? Because it's the government paying them for their placement. Next, please. So I am very excited about this Fly Tech Ed project framework. So this is another project that we are seeking funding from the government. So we call this Tech Experts Development, Tech Ed. This is to complement our Fly project. So Tech Ed is like we're developing more experts, we're developing more companies, developing more businesses, and this is what our framework is. So we plan to have our tech hub, just like we have Fly Hub. Again, the Fly Hub, this is the place where people get to network with other kids or other youth. They come to our location, our Fly Hub, which we will be renting a building. So they talk about their experiences, the problems they have encountered at school, maybe relationship, like a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship that they can share with their peers. Now that I have two youth, I am trying to really understand where they're coming from. And as far as my understanding is concerned, youth wouldn't tell you their problems. It's because they tell me that you're a parent, I'm very biased. They just don't want to share their problems with me. So now, yes, maybe we have to bring another youth so that there's another youth who will be listening to them. And that's why we created, or we will have that Fly Hub. Same thing as the Fly Hub as well for the newcomers. So when they're looking for work, when they have problems, maybe they can network, they can go to this place where they can share their problems. So in the phase 2 of our tech ed, and we are going to incorporate this, even if we don't have funding yet, we're going to incorporate it with the funding we have for our Fly. It's because we believe that the businesses are important piece in making the youth employment successful and the newcomers successful. So so with this, the way we're developing, we talk about new graduates, how they can be placed into employment. We talk about newcomers, how. So regardless whether you have the experience in Canada or not, you're a newcomer, regardless whether you are a new graduate, if you maybe like are referred, because right now it's so hard to even recruit because not a lot of youth are responding to the job postings. We get this 55 people through referrals. So they bring their friends. So maybe 1-2 people that are employed, they bring their friends because it's a word of mouth that that we are able to find people. A lot of people are saying they're unemployed, but the reality is there's really employment. There's just not much people applying or responding to the job, especially the youth. So this is where we're going to place the people. We'll place them like maybe we're going to make like 3 people on the team to study the immigration practice, to study about the medical practice. And then eventually the end product is to come up with a practical manual in that respective profession or practice. So that's the end goal. And hopefully the government will listen to us and give us this funding as well. This is to bridge or to transition from Fly to the tech ed. But again, bringing all BAs is an important piece under the Fly project. And so I have presented this because we're going to be doing this starting August as well. So next slide, please. I think that's the last one. And thank you. It's already, we've been over 13 minutes. I believe we're only set for 1 hour for this session, but we went over 13 minutes because we waited for people to log in. And I'm going to bring it back to Carla to close the session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the speakers. Thank you for the lovely faces and your input. Thank you so much. And back to Carla, please.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, well, that being said, we'd love to thank our speakers for coming today and sharing such wise and valuable words on our topic. Finding a job as an immigrant in Canada is definitely difficult, so I hope that was helpful for anybody out there. We hope that our audience found the experience to be very helpful and to be able to use the advice and to fuel their searches for jobs here in Canada. We understand that the process can be quite difficult and hope that the resources our speakers have provided will be able to aid your own experiences. Okay. Well, that's everything for today's seminar. Thank you to our attendees, viewers, and presenters. But before you leave, we ask that you all fill out the survey, as the feedback we get helps us not only improve our future webinars, but also improves our not-for-profit organization as a whole. Okay. And if you like today's expert talk, please check out our past episodes on the YouTube channel. Shortly after this, we'll post today's expert talk on the Facebook page as well. Right. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. Right. Well, thank you to everyone, and good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was lovely. Have a good night.
Thank you.